Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Metal Gear University.
I am T.
And I am Kay. And we're coming to all of you with finally news about the Delta remake.
Finally?
We have, our list, our little notes for the episode, and I just want to jump right into it because it's been weeks of going like, maybe next time, maybe in a couple of months.
Maybe next time there'll be some scraps for us. We'll be sucking the crumbs off the carpet.
I don't think these were scraps either, too. We actually got a more thorough trailer, and then we got a date.
That is the big thing.
That is
the date.
The date. And it's this year.
I'm shocked. I mean, okay. Let me rephrase. I'm not shocked. It was more so I thought that the release date was going to be in the holiday season.
True. Yes. And that's what I mean this year, because when I see holiday season release time, to me that's automatically like next year. It's already it's the end of the year.
That's true.
But the summer.
That's 6 months from now. That's nothing.
We can do that. We can do this.
What's 6 months? What's 6 months? I can wait.
And it's amazing because it's also almost perfectly timed to right after MGS Con.
You know that's what everybody's going to be talking about there.
I feel like it's a, what do they call it? Like a pre-release party. It's just going to be like a...
That's more, yeah, kind of. It's going to have that vibe.
It's super exciting, and I don't know. It's always cool getting news like this because then you'll go on social media, you go on Reddit, and everyone's just everyone's posting the same shit. It's just everyone going crazy, and it's cool vibes. So like you said, I think the convention's gonna be really just busy.
And also, Snake vs. Monkey makes a comeback.
I'm telling you.
Get out.
The trailer was and more. They tease stuff. So I feel like they are really looking at what people are posting online. I think after, especially Silent Hill 2, they're like, we got them where we want them.
Yeah. No, I really do believe that there are people, and it's weird for me to say, and I'm not used to saying it, but I feel that there are some people over at Konami now who might actually care.
That like Metal Gear?
And it makes me feel weird to say that. But I don't know.
Snake versus Monkey.
That's something that people have been wanting since the HD collection.
You know what I want?
What?
Bring back Guy Savage.
Yes!
Bring back that small little demo after Snake has his little scary dream. Well, that's his scary little dream. Bring that back.
Who cares if it's a demo that's for a game that never came out? Who cares? Just put it in.
Who owns that?
Konami. Konami owns that. They can put it in. And okay, if they can't put that in for whatever reason, just put in something similar.
Like an homage.
Yeah. I feel that they have.
I'm staying on this.
Guy Savage.
Guy Savage
needs to be recognized as a Metal Gear Solid character in his own right. He's a reflection of Snake's psyche.
Technically, he is a Metal Gear Solid character.
He is. Think about that. I bet you not a lot of people have thought about that.
201 episode, Guy Savage.
What does he mean? Who is he?
Just the X-Files themes plays the entire episode.
This is what we're turning into. This is us now.
Damn, I remember when TK&M fell off. I remember. But I'm excited. It feels weird. I don't feel like it's happening, and I think my vision and hopes are kind of clouded because even when I watched the trailer, I felt a little skeeved by it. But I think I'm just nervous. The same way I was nervous for Silent Hill 2.
Same. I don't have any reasons to doubt if Silent Hill 2 was any indicator of what they're willing to produce nowadays. I'm genuinely willing to give them a fair shake. And I'm excited to see what comes out,
I'm hoping the and more part of the trailer is referencing the Master Collection too.
Probably.
I know it's two separate games but maybe that was just teasing more of a series.
I'm surprised they haven't mentioned anything like that at all yet.
I think they're taking this long because that was a bigger issue. Getting the Volume 2 collection.
True. I mean, I'm not saying that like they need to rush it or anything. I'm just surprised that there hasn't been any word on what would be in it. Just a vague timeline on when we could potentially see it. I know that it's probably going to be harder to pull off than Volume 1 since it's most they have to get 4, and I can't imagine that 4 has its own particular brand of problems. And I feel like that's like the major one that they're working on.
And I bet maybe even deciding if like Acid goes there or Portable Ops, like I guess deciding on what games to include.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no need for a 3 if you split everything. Like if you split into a third one, you'd have like 2 games on one.
Yeah.
So it's putting all those.
If I had to lump a Volume 2 together, it would have to be Metal Gear Solid 4, Peace Walker. I'd put in 5 and see if I could include that DLC that was cut, the Lord of the Flies homage, like Mission 51 or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I'd put in Ghost Babel. I'd put in Portable Ops. And I'd put in the Acid games. Acid games would be cool.
And I think those are meatier than the Snake's Revenge, than Metal Gear 1.
Oh,
so
for sure.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what the delay is. Is there any significance to it being released in August? Do you know? I
mean, Metal Gear Solid 3 takes place in August, and I don't know. Whatever.
Does it?
It does.
Oh, so maybe, okay. I was wondering if...
Yeah, but like 3 is in Volume 1, but I don't know. I'm just shooting.
No, because I'm thinking August is such an interesting date. Like you said, you would imagine they put it during the holiday season to get all the...
It might be an anniversary of a particular game, but it's not off the top of my head. I don't know.
Okay. More specifically, too, T, I don't think you spoke on it. How do you feel about the trailer, how it looks?
I think it looks cool. The trailer's mainly comprised of like cutscenes, and the cutscenes all look gorgeous. I am more curious to see how the game is played, and I just want to see more of that.
Yeah, hopefully a demo or something gets released.
Yeah, I know that there's a demo around there somewhere. They had it at the Tokyo Game Show. Just make that public. I just want to know.
When will they release a demo? We have 6 months left. You would think around this time, no? Demo?
Maybe
3 months from now.
3 months before
a demo gets released. I feel like I think my vision is clouded because I'm so nervous. The cutscenes look. I think hyperrealism also gets me a little skeeved out. I feel like the original 3 had such a cool style to it. It had that like yellow little filter,
Yeah.
And each character kind of looks a specific way, and this one is it's so real that it turns me off. But that's just me. I just want to put it out there. I'm a little nervous, but I said something about James.
There's an options menu where you could put the piss filter back on.
That piss filter might have to stay on for me.
Personally, I was thinking of doing that myself.
Tom, you know you're playing that game.
I know.
Forever, so
I know.
Whether it's on or off, you're gonna play every style imaginable. Any option they give you.
Yeah. So.
And the mods.
The mods are gonna be insane. No, Kay and I were talking about people swapping Eva out with Ocelot.
I'm ready.
And making a mod for him that he's in a Speedo, and we were talking about when Eva and Snake meet up in the cave and they have like that that little campfire scene.
If you don't want to see that, don't follow us on Twitch because it'll just be me.
No. Then we were talking about like what like how Eva kind of like crawls her way over. Imagine Ocelot doing that, and someone just adds in the.
We're not gonna have to imagine soon enough.
That's gonna happen.
That model is gonna be there. It's gonna be ready. And Kay,
that will happen. I guarantee you that will happen.
It's gonna be
fun. I can't wait to see it.
It's gonna be fun to see all the mods. That's half the fun with like having Steam and all these games. It's just to see what people imagine. I'm excited. I'm happy. I hope everyone else is looking forward to it too. And then as always, like MGS Con, like if you weren't gonna go or you were waiting for a reason, I feel like now's the time because everyone's gonna be so hype. It's like not even a week after, 5 days after the convention.
Wild.
We fly back like a couple days after. And by the time we get back home, I feel like it's gonna be there and ready.
I can't wait.
You might have to take out the day of work.
I will.
24-hour stream. Honestly, I always said like you should like. I'm surprised you didn't do it for the Master Collection or the like Volume 1.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, I'll tuck you in. You can do a stream. You play. You take a nap. I'm all for it. I'm ready for that.
All right.
Anything else going on? We kind of just jump right into it.
I don't know. Super Bowl's happening.
Oh yeah.
In T-minus 30 minutes.
You're just letting people know how late we are.
Whatever.
This episode actually, we always say we had work to do, which we do have to work for this podcast because we care. It took us a minute to watch these movies and like decide which ones we wanted to use. So we finished the last movie. Was it this morning?
Yeah, we watched the last one this morning.
Oh, I already forgot. Oh no, I just remembered what it was. It was a good movie. So much happened today.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, what was happening today? I'm ready to eat some chicken wings, and even though we're from New York, we're not supposed to be like this. We are going for the Eagles.
I feel like everybody's going for the Eagles.
So,
except for people who are in Kansas or Kansas City, wherever the fuck they're from. Who cares?
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to anybody who's rooting for Kansas City. I'm not even that big of an Eagles fan.
If you want to write Tom some hate mail, you can email us at, what is it, Tom?
It's tkandm@gmail.com. ITSTKANDM@gmail.com. Give me a minute. I can do it.
Sorry, my bad. It looked like you were,
Also, I want to go for the Eagles fans because I know Eagles fans have a very violent reputation, and I want to see how crazy Philadelphia can get.
I saw a TikTok and it was like Eagles fans going home after Super Bowl, and it was that moment in Last of Us when Joel was carrying his dog.
That's what I want. I want to see TikToks of people going like, we lost, and then even if they win,
we lost,
we won. I have to get home safe,
but we lost everything. I'm ready for the TikToks. But yeah, we'll be watching it. We're slowly getting into sports, which I appreciate. So let us know who you're rooting for. Like T said, email us for anything at itstkandm@gmail.com. That is itstkandm@gmail.com. T, are you ready to jump into this episode? Which is interesting. It's a cool little topic. We
I feel like we're switching gears a little bit. We're putting on our cinephile hats.
I am terrible because I'll be like, this movie was cool. Like, don't look at my letterbox. I gave up.
No, you have fun little quips. I like it.
Tom, you flatter me too much. I think you're biased.
No. If you don't mind, I would like to read some of them. I think that'd be funny.
Okay, sure. We could do that.
Okay.
But before we do that,
what?
Pop quiz time.
Pop quiz time.
Even this pop quiz is based on our last episode, which is
fun.
So you better have listened.
You better have listened. All right, here we go.
So T.
Yes, Kay.
This week we have 4 questions on the pop quiz. Are you ready?
I am indeed ready.
Of course you'll be prepared because you listened to our last episode, which was definitely in line with the canon of the game, and it made sense and it was beautiful.
It did. It made complete sense. It was 100% canon.
Wait, was our last episode with Rykov and?
Yeah, our last episode involved Rykov and Raiden and.
What was the one before that? Coward Duck. You see, we had 2 wild episodes that I'm like.
They're just blending together.
They're blending together. Okay, anyway, pop quiz question number 1.
Okay.
T.
Yes.
Rykov was shipped to San Geronimo in what year? A. 1968. B. 1974. C. 1970. Or D. 1980.
It was C. 1970.
Beautiful. You are correct.
Thank you. Yes.
You are correct. And that is actually canon, I guess, in the sense of it happened in the game and not just in our made-up discussion.
Portable Ops is an interesting game because it's been cherry picked for canon. And
what the way we did it?
Yes. Yeah, exactly how he did it. But like I don't like how it's done in official purposes.
Are you a real fan or what?
I am a real fan. Look, I have nothing against portable ops, and there are certain things in portable ops that I find cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like how things are like, oh, this happened, but that didn't happen. But this also happened, but that didn't happen.
This
You know what I mean?
this will have to be one of the games we also do a 101 for.
Well, probably. It's just when we're done with like the 100% canon games, you know?
Yeah. T.
Yes, Kay.
Question number 2. Raiden fought in the Liberian Civil War at what age?
Ooh. He fought in that Civil War at the ripe old age of 6 years old.
Bonus points if you name the unit he was a part of.
The small boy unit.
You are correct. I thought it was the little boy unit.
I thought it was a small boy.
Oh, let's see. Is it the small boy unit or the little boy unit? It was a small boy unit. Small boy unit. So, correct. T, question number 3.
Okay.
How was the country of Liberia founded? See, this is kind of it's a Metal Gear question, but it's also, you know, some history. So we're teaching you stuff here.
Yeah.
It's a real university.
Accredited. Don't look it up. Liberia was founded off of the freed African slaves that were in North America at the time, and it was kind of like this weird faction between people who wanted to go back to what they saw was their ancestral homeland, and people who wanted to more or less kick them out for racial reasons.
And they had some weird, like, core similarity or agreement. And just to be specific too, because you said freed African slaves, these were American citizens.
Yes.
These were people who, you know, like you said, they were enslaved, or like, you know, the children of enslaved people.
Yeah.
Who chose.
They chose to go back, more or less.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting, like you said, with the contingent of the white Americans who were like, yeah, get out.
Yeah, get out. Like, it was like a mix of like, on one hand, people going like, you know what, we should go back. And then on the other side of the spectrum, it was a bunch of people going like, yeah, go back.
Honestly, the research you and I did for this episode, the history of that country is fascinating, and like we kind of went into it a little bit, kind of the conflicts when you think about not capitalism, but essentially capitalism, colonialism. When you look at colonialism and then classism and racism, it's very interesting. So I would implore all of you to look into it. You know, the same thing with Rhodesia. When we talk about
that's another one. Yeah,
one day we'll do a thing on Naomi and we'll talk about that whole shit. But you are correct, T.
Yeah.
Final question.
Okay.
Question number 4.
Yes.
This is really partial to our episode, but how can you connect Raiden, Rykov, Solidus, and Liberia?
Now, this is a theory. It's not a game theory. It's not a canon answer, but it's more or less our working thing.
Our hypothesis of the case.
After the events of Metal Gear Solid 3, Rykov goes to San Geronimo, more or less in exile. During the events of that game, Snake happens to be there, frees Rykov, and Rykov is like, you know what? I can make a name for myself again. I can redeem myself. And he does. And then he goes back to the Soviet Union and heads down to Liberia to fill in his old post, which was to help out scientific studies with Yuri Gagarin, of all people. Years go by, the Civil War happens, Rykov tries to leave, Solidus murks him, and leaves his little son Raiden on the streets of Liberia in the middle of the Liberian Civil War. And boom, there you go.
This is a terrible question because people are going to be like, this is not canon.
It's not
even. So you give them pop quiz based off of our theories. And
well, it's off of our last episode.
Also, this is Metal Gear University, so why wouldn't there be a question? Let me see. Let me check myself.
It's also our last episode.
You are correct.
Thank you.
That's my canon now, though. That he's Raiden's father.
It makes sense. It legit makes sense.
Why would it be in that book? Why would the times line up?
They do. That's the funny thing. Like, it actually, like, is there anything written down that any of this happened? No, of course not. But it works.
I'd like to think Kojima took out the same book I did. That's why he takes so long to make games. I think he has all these stupid little notebooks filled with timelines and graphs and data, and it never makes it into the game. But he knows.
Like, it's just in his Rolodex in his head somewhere.
I bet you I'm gonna meet Kojima one day and be like, Rykov is Raiden's dad, right? He's gonna be like, how did you know? I'm like, shh, and I'll put my finger to his lips. And I'm like, shh, don't worry about baby.
Because of the Liberian incident with the Soviet Union. He was like, how did you know?
And I'd be like, shh. And then I'll walk away and he'd be like, damn, she's cool.
That's so mysterious.
That's what he would say.
Yeah, he would say that.
Are you ready for the episode?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
So, okay. Mm-hmm. This episode, we decided to check out some of the movies that Paramedic recommended to Snake during the Operation Snake Eater mission.
So this episode is essentially a Paramedic movie club.
Yeah, actually.
When I tell you I would never be in a movie club with her, the fact that we're even watching a movie that Paramedic recommended,
yeah,
I would never be in the same room. I don't give a fuck what she says. I don't care. Fuck Paramedic, okay? This is a Gray Fox family. Fuck Paramedic. But damn, weren't these three great movies?
They were. I feel...
Sorry, I know you're bleeping out everything.
No, it's okay. It's well deserved. It's just that, like... I mean, we're kind of veering here, but like Paramedic as a character,
I'm my biggest hater.
It's like, if you did not know, it's like, oh yeah, in 3 she's just like this quirky girl, and she's just like this cool.
Aww.
But like, yo, you delve into her,
foul.
She's a monster,
evil, a demon, the devil.
Like, oh my, the war crimes, everything. She's like the kind of person that would like peel off the legs of spiders for fun.
Which she probably did. It's, everybody in that team, everyone's a war criminal. Everyone has done heinous things. We're talking about murderers. We're talking about people who take in captives. Like we're talking about evil people. It's that she went the extra line.
Oh, there's a special place in hell for her.
There is a special. She went so beyond. And if she has no haters, I am dead. Like, I am her biggest hater. Anyway, she recommended some great movies, though, and that's what we're doing today. We're Paramedic Movie Club, baby.
Hooray!
Thanks, Paramedic.
Thank you. So the first movie that we delved into was a movie called Dracula. I don't know. I don't know if anybody ever heard of Dracula before. The synopsis is...
Well...
Yes.
We watched the 1931
version.
With Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, the OG.
Mm-hmm.
The synopsis is Transylvanian vampire Count Dracula bends a naive real estate agent, Renfield, to his will, then takes up residence at a London estate where he sleeps in his coffin by day and searches for potential victims by night.
Ooh. This movie is filmed entirely in black and white, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you encounter this movie in the game when Paramedic talks to Snake after he has a nightmare, right? This is kind of referencing what we were talking about earlier, the Guy Savage.
Oh, Guy Savage, yeah. We could play Paramedic's review real quick to just get everybody refreshed.
Snake, have you ever heard of Renfield?
Is that a movie?
It's the name of a character. He's locked up in a cell waiting for the master to return, eating the spiders that crawl along the walls.
Change the channel.
He waits and waits for ages. Finally, just as he's beginning to forget whether he's human or not, the master comes for him, saying the time has come. Renfield is overjoyed.
Wait, isn't this
the master spreads his huge wings and a gust of wind fills the cell.
Come on, I don't want to hear this.
And there, standing before Renfield in human form was...
Dracula!
Exactly! If you stay there too long, your old buddy Dracula's going to come and get you too. So you better start thinking of a way out of there. You better not leave me without someone to talk to. Please, Snake, think. There's got to be a way out of there.
I'll try.
Okay. Just let me know if you start having nightmares about Dracula.
Does this cutscene play in all versions of Metal Gear Solid 3?
Part of it was lost. You were partially right with when this exactly plays.
Oh.
It plays when you save in the cell.
Okay.
However, after the Guy Savage demo, you can call paramedic again, and then Snake will have like, I had a crazy dream.
Oh, so she says it regardless.
Yes.
Like the first part.
Yes, to my knowledge, yes.
And then the second part is more so specific to... So what happens in like when you play it on a PlayStation, when you play it on a different console, when you call back after her Dracula description? Like he doesn't have a bad dream?
Yeah, because that demo never happens.
Got it. Okay. Okay, just wanted to put some context to it.
No, all good.
Context. But this movie, essentially, I have a hard time seeing how it connects to the game. To me, it was a way to introduce that demo.
Yeah.
And then it was a way to also kind of reinforce how Snake is just... Snake has weird fears. He has certain beliefs, like he believes in Santa Claus. So I think this was just referencing how like he's this really tough soldier, but he's scared of,
He's kind of a weirdo.
He's scared of vampires and maybe even werewolves,
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was a way to just kind of add character to him.
Yeah. I feel that God, how does this relate to Metal Gear Solid? I mean, there's paramedic more or less spells out the situation with Renfield in the movie where he's in the sanatorium eating spiders off the walls and he's waiting for Dracula, and then Dracula shows up and she's like, you better get out of there before Dracula shows up. And then I think that's about it, because I don't know how this relates to Metal Gear Solid. It's funny because when we were watching Dracula, we were making more comparisons to Resident Evil than we were to Metal Gear.
The settings, the way certain characters behaved, it felt like Resident Evil. But I'm thinking about this now. Maybe I'm looking too into it. So when paramedic describes Renfield and she says, you're kind of like, well, she's alluding that he's kind of like Renfield in a cell, kind of surviving, and like, be careful because, like Renfield, he was waiting for Dracula, essentially you're waiting for Vulcan to come back, be careful.
Mm-hmm.
But in that movie, Renfield wants Dracula to come back.
That's true. But maybe paramedic is playing on Snake's fear of Dracula to be like, you better get out of there.
Yeah, you better watch out. This big bad is coming. Because there's really no connection to Vulcan and Dracula. Why would, to compare Snake to, like, I think the only comparison is that they're in a cell kind of withering away.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine why she'd compare Renfield to him. He does eat, like, all these creatures to survive.
He eats spiders.
But it's not like, for example, if it was the boss in a cell waiting for Vulcan, that's her, master in a sense. She's following his rules. Snake is not waiting. There's no connection. You know what I mean? There's no connection to Vulcan and...
Maybe she wouldn't know this, but Renfield eventually loses his mind, and later on in the series, Big Boss loses his mind, but that doesn't make any sense in reference to 3 by itself.
We should also put a spoiler warning.
Well, 201s are typically...
Oh, yeah, good point. And this is a movie from 1931, so...
Oh, spoilers for Dracula?
I think that the cutoff for spoilers is maybe, like, 10 years.
This is almost 100 years old.
I just feel bad for people, like, I was gonna watch that!
I was gonna watch Dracula!
I just feel bad.
The 1931 classic?
I just feel bad. As someone listening, like, damn it, also do it this weekend.
I was just about to watch it.
But I played your podcast episode first, and now it's ruined. But it's a fantastic movie, and I think to Paramedic's credit, we're going to go into more movies that she's done. This is part one of a series I think we'll do.
Mm-hmm.
We'll throw in every, Paramedics movie club every once in a while. But this movie is, I think, cool in the tension that it builds. It's very much it feels like an old movie. It looks great, but it definitely, it's very slow.
It is.
But the way it built tension, the way certain camera angles were done to really show the importance and fear that Dracula has, I saw elements of that in this series. You know what I mean? Like, I think about like later in 5, like Skullface, how just imposing and scary he's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. We get a lot of like close-ups of characters at different points in time. So, I think little things like that inspired Kojima in a way. Mm-hmm. But the movie itself, I think this is her just like bothering Snake, making fun of him.
Yeah. I could also say that Dracula is kind of like a reference to Vamp.
Oh, I see that.
I remember when 2 was released, a lot of people had a hard time accepting that Vamp was a vampire, or at least had supernatural powers.
I like this angle you're bringing in.
And I like to feel that Paramedic talking to Snake about Dracula and Snake being afraid of them and being, I think he says something along the lines of like,
I had the most amazing dream thanks to you.
Ah, you didn't really dream about Drac.
Don't say it. The last thing I need is a double feature.
it's like poking fun a little, Mm-hmm. Especially, I mean, it's funny because like in 2, yeah, there was like something that was more or less like a vampire, but you rewind to like the previous game, there was like a psychic. There was a guy that could seemingly control crows that can make you freeze.
Why wouldn't he make a nod to that? And it's an easy throwaway line you can include in here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cute. And it's funny. I feel like Naked Snake is definitely scared of them to the point that in the conversation with Paramedic, he's like, "Don't even say my name." She'll start to say Drac, and he's like, "No, don't
stop."
He's like super scared.
You stop that nonsense right now.
And in Metal Gear Solid 2, Snake, when he interacts with Van very briefly or even like in the distance, he's not too scared.
Because that's Solid Snake.
Yeah, Solid Snake. And we're going to get into his character in a bit because one of these movies I feel like really is a light into Solid Snake's character. But yeah, like I feel it's funny that kind of parallel though, that like Naked Snake is scared of Dracula and vampires, and then his son clone doesn't even bother him. He's not phased.
Yeah.
He's the actual like super soldier. But this movie, I would recommend. Okay. I was telling you this earlier. Mm-hmm. Watching these movies adds so much more to Paramedic's lines.
They do.
Because we watched the movies and then we went back and watched, all the cutscenes where she references the movies. And having that kind of like basis for why would she mention this? Where does this fit in the game? It makes her seem more fleshed out almost too.
Yeah.
Like a real person.
Because like I feel like you could really get a sense of like, wow, she watched this. And having like actually watched it yourself, you get a real sense of like who she might be as a person, Yeah,
almost made her likable and relatable and friendly. Like a piece of me right now, and I want to kill that part of me, was like, oh, she's something super cute. Mm-hmm. Talking about Dracula, and now I'm like,
damn you.
And I think that goes to show, like, with the amount of conversations that happen in this series, well written.
Yeah. Because
that felt like two people talking about a movie they just saw. Damn you, Kojima, and damn you, Paramedic. But yeah, not really a heavy influence.
No, it was more for funsies.
Okay, next movie.
The next movie that we are going to talk about is a little movie called Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
The synopsis of this movie is a mentally unstable American general orders a hydrogen bomb attack on the Soviet Union, triggering a path to global nuclear holocaust that a war room full of politicians and generals frantically tries to stop.
Believe it or not, this is a comedy.
I like the way, believe it or not. It's actually like there were parts that we laughed a lot at this movie. For when it was released, I think this was directed by Stanley Kubrick. Kubrick? We didn't say that for the earlier movie.
Oh, wait.
Oh my god, real quick. Okay,
real
wait.
quick.
Real quick.
The director of Dracula.
Real quick. Okay, directed by Todd Browning.
Todd Browning.
It's known specifically for Bela Lugosi because he's known as Dracula. Like, when you hear about Dracula, Bela Lugosi.
Lugot.
Okay. That's
I'm
pretty
sorry.
good. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, was directed and written by Stanley Kubrick. And the screenplay was him and like two other people, and then he directed it. And this movie, it came out, I think, in 64, which is the same time that Metal Gear Solid 3 takes place.
Yeah, they say in paramedics' conversation,
Which we can hear right now.
Snake, have you seen Dr. Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb?
What?
Dr. Strangelove. Have you seen it?
No.
It's about this insane American Air Force commander who sends a bomber out to drop an H-bomb on Russia. It's a black comedy.
Doesn't sound very funny to me.
The actor who plays Dr. Strangelove also plays two of the other main characters. It's actually kind of funny once you get past the scary parts. It just came out this year, so I bet you could still go and see it.
Maybe when I'm in a lighter state of mind, I'll give it a try.
It's very intense. Like, it ends with the world ending, essentially.
yeah,
It ends with the world ending. Bombs are dropped. Nuclear bombs are dropped. And I think for them to release this,
ballsy. 1964, after the Cuban Missile Crisis, after Kennedy got murked,
yeah, and it's a comedy.
and it's a comedy. That takes balls. Like I don't think there's a movie that I know in recent memory that has done anything as ballsy as this.
And what's funny about it is that, and this is, I think, an issue with me. I don't watch enough movies. I don't consume a lot of media. And it was so much a critique of the government, so much a critique of what's going on. And you think of like an old time movie. Like, I think about like Dracula. Like, oh, look at this old timey thing. It's not deep or thoughtful or provoking. It's just a little, decently acted monster movie. This was a movie.
This had something to say.
This was cinema.
Yeah.
And so I feel like also for Kojima to put this in this game was super relevant to Metal Gear Solid 3 and other games in the series.
Yeah, it was a reflection of the world at that particular moment in time. I mean, because like in our first pick, that came out in 31. That was like 30 years before Snake Eater. This is like a real reflection in the world that Snake and Paramedic both lived in at that time.
Mind you, the movie is about nuclear bombs, which Snake and Vogan, like that's the whole thing with this Cold War that's going on in the game. You have rogue agents, and the president wasn't able to stop it. Like, no one was able to stop it, and so that was it.
That was it.
And it was the entirety of the movie was politicians, the president, people trying to figure out how to stop it if there was a way.
And they actually, if the pilot of one particular bomber wasn't so good at being a pilot, they would have saved the world. It's just, there was one pilot that was really good.
Yeah.
And that was it.
But let's talk about essentially Paramedic. Why, like, what do we learn from Paramedic or Snake from the mention of this movie?
Well,
Did we learn anything?
Well, I mean, I guess you could say that Paramedic is a fan of dark comedies. I don't know.
A little sassy too to be name dropping this.
Yeah. She acknowledges that it can be scary, but it's also fairly funny. Snake does not find any of this funny.
He's the one on the ground.
He's like, nah, I'm gonna stay home. Like, I feel like if paramedic like pulled up and she like honked the horn and she was like, Snake, get in. We want to see Dr. Strangelove. He's like, nah, I'm all right.
Well, to her, what's happening with Snake is almost like a movie because she's just listening on the phone and like giving him advice and tips.
That's
Snake
true.
is actually the one going through.
He's going through those crazy altercations and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so to her, what Snake's doing is the same as Doctor Strangelove,
Mm-hmm.
except it won't end the way it did. And also too, I think she's a little sassy for mentioning this movie where the world ends.
Yeah, like read the room.
I think this is alluding to how much of a shitty person she is. Because why would you tell this man to watch this movie knowing that the world was at stake? He's doing a secret mission that was basically started because Vogan released that little missile at the Grozny Grad.
Mm-hmm.
Why ask him to watch this? It's too close to home.
I mean, you get good performances. There was a actor who played 3 different parts in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
What was his name? It was
Peter Sellers.
Peter Seller. And they were fantastic. They played as Dr. Strangelove himself. They also played the president. And they played like a
Mandrake,
who was like this like British officer that was trying to like get the code from Ripper.
Yeah.
And there's like so many similarities between like Ripper and Vulcan as well.
Yes, because Ripper was this American general who went rogue and started launched a missile. Launched a missile strike, and that's what Vulcan.
That's what he essentially wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Ripper's almost like the American counterpart to Vulcan, because like Vulcan was this rogue agent, Ripper was this rogue agent, and there was like this whole operation to try to stop him.
Mm-hmm. Also similar to the game, the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, movie, it's everyone is kind of like on edge. There's all these everyone bracing, and people are spying. U.S. and Soviet Union are spying on each other and whatnot. And the command that was given was specifically, target Russia. And so that's we have this movie that's basically on the nose with the game. Also, just like the game, there is a phone call between the president and the head of the Soviet Union.
Which I thought was a neat coincidence.
And it was a really similar call because in the movie, it's a little funny, like, it's a comedy. So
Yeah, I think the head of the Soviet Union was drunk.
he was drunk and he was like, are you calling me just because you want to talk and you're my friend, or is it for something else? And the person's like, if I wasn't your friend, I would not be calling you. Like, it was pretty cute. But also, both calls, both in Metal Gear Solid 3 and the call in this movie, were very casual. Like, you could tell it was 2 men really trying to work something out. And I thought that definitely Kojima saw that call and was like, this is cute, let me add it. Because it was very informal.
Yeah.
Especially when you have this nuke on its way to your country, and it was a very informal call.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was cute. They did share those topics. Are there any other?
Well, when I was looking up facts for Doctor Strangelove,
Mm-hmm.
I kept running into comparisons to Peace Walker.
Yes.
Peace Walker shares a lot with Doctor Strangelove. One being, there's a literal Doctor Strangelove in Peace Walker.
Okay, so I can imagine he put the mention of Doctor Strangelove in this game. I was like, actually, that's a pretty good movie. Let me
include
a little bit more.
Spoof that a little.
Okay, so yeah, no, I agree. Peace Walker, please continue, is definitely heavily inspired by that movie.
Well, right off the top of my head, there's a cutscene in Peace Walker that is like a homage to like the war room scene in Doctor Strangelove.
Okay.
Where there's all these heads of state trying to figure out how do we respond to Russia firing nukes. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like flipping the script a little bit, because in Doctor Strangelove, it was the US firing onto Russia, but it was more or less the same effect.
Mm-hmm.
You have Big Boss on the phone trying to call and cancel the attack, which is kind of like what Mandrake was doing in Doctor Strangelove.
Incoming MIRV warheads have separated.
Estimated time to impact now, 11 minutes.
Sir, we've got a call.
The president?
No, sir.
Then who?
He,
Spit it out!
he claims to be Big Boss. Big Boss? Patch him through.
Mr. Chairman, I'll get straight to the point. Cancel the retaliatory strike now.
Well, in Doctor Strangelove, the nukes were real.
Yeah.
But Mandrake had the code to stop the attack, and Big Boss was calling to also effectively stop the attack by saying that it wasn't real. Also, the Peace Walker itself
Yes.
is just like the Doomsday Machine in Doctor Strangelove. Because
They were both no, you're right. They were both conducted like without any human interaction or engagement. Once that code went off,
that was it.
that was it. There was like it didn't need any other human interaction.
Mr. President, the technology required is easily within the means of even the smallest nuclear power. It requires only the will to do so.
If you push the button on your enemy, you're pushing the button against yourself. Which is cool. I mean, not cool in terms of like nuclear annihilation, but cool in terms of like a homage, so to speak.
Which is why we designed the system to be unmanned. With Peace Walker, retaliation is certain. It chooses the appropriate target and launches a retaliatory nuclear strike every time, without needing human input to make the call.
And I mean, the character of Strangelove too. I mean, I'm struggling with finding the similarities between Strangelove in the movie and Strangelove in Peace Walker. I mean, I feel like both scientists,
Yeah.
both a little eccentric, to say the least.
Yes. I mean, different kinds of eccentric. I mean, it's not so implied in Doctor Strangelove. It's funny calling them both Doctor Strange. The Doctor Strangelove in Doctor Strangelove, it's not so hidden that he was attached to a certain party that was very popular in Germany in the 40s. And that wasn't the case for the Doctor Strangelove and Peace Walker. They kind of share a similar appearance in the sense that they both wear sunglasses all the time and they have like this like almost like formal attire.
Where was Doctor Strangelove from Peace Walker?
They were from London, if I remember
see.
right.
Okay. And it's funny because I feel like Huey would have been a better comparison to Doctor Strangelove.
It's funny. I was actually just about to say.
Sorry.
No, you're good. No, because like I was looking at Huey talking about Peace Walker to Big Boss in the cutscene, and the way he's drawn, it's almost exactly like how Doctor Strangelove looks in this particular shot in the movie.
Okay.
I had a thought of like the Doctor Strangelove in Peace Walker and Huey, if they merged together, I feel like they would make the Doctor Strangelove from the movie.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool then. That's pretty cool. And they're probably definitely intentional.
I would think so.
Definitely intentional. Especially too, thinking of how Huey treats Doctor Strangelove in Peace Walker, where he kills the part of him that is nice. Like he killed, you know what I mean? Like he put her in the
Ooh, yeah.
And like she was kind of, she had a child, like, like not that she had like, not that just because she's a mother, she's a good person, but like she had a part of her that actually cared for someone and part of her that was empathetic and loving. And Huey was so quick to just destroy that.
Throw it away.
Which like in the movie, this guy was so quick to experiment on people and he had these grand ideas for the future of society.
Oh yeah.
Which to me kind of reminded me of Huey.
As soon as the missile started to fly, he was like, "Oh, we got to be in the bunker."
He was giddy. No, he was smiling.
And we get to do eugenics. This is gonna be great.
Yeah,
and,
it was funny too because there was one. Yeah, it's just unrelated, but there was one point in the movie where he was like, "Yeah, like to preserve the race, we have to like I can run a computer program and we can kind of, we can pick which women come in the bunker with us based on like their sexual characteristics. Because, you know, in order to repopulate, there has to be 10 men for every woman. And like,
No, you flipped it.
That's what I want. Sorry. So
Excuse me? What did you say?
Sorry. Whoops. There was in the movie, they wanted 10 women for every man. Okay. Let me continue. Don't look at me. So what he was saying was that in order for a man to continue to populate, these women would have to be, you know, very, basically he said their sexual characteristics had to be very on point. But then he goes, but you know what? The men, all of us have to be down there because we're such leaders, and they're all them, like, you could tell are just like they're not in best shape.
Yeah, they're all kind of frumpy looking.
Some, you know, don't have really what one might consider as very visually appealing sexual characteristics. So I was just like, that's hilarious. It was a great movie. It was a great movie. He's definitely Huey inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this compared to Dracula, Dr. Strangelove, the movie, is a much more direct, on the nose inspiration.
I would say so, yeah.
And Paramedic is a loser for telling Snake to watch it because it's basically his mission.
Yeah.
It's what he's doing at the present moment.
Excuse me. I don't need this in my life.
Like, he's literally... That's what he's doing. Highly recommend this movie.
Same.
Highly recommend. And we watched one more movie for the club.
The last movie that Kay and I saw was 007 From Russia with Love.
The synopsis is that James Bond willingly falls into an assassination plot involving a naive Russian beauty in order to retrieve a Soviet encryption device that was stolen by the organization Spectre.
Wow.
So this is, you know, it's a movie recommendation by Paramedic, but what's interesting with this one is that Major Zero chimes in almost at like immediately. The mere mention of the movie, he comes in on the radio during the cutscene.
Snake, have you seen 007 From Russia with Love?
Nah, I don't like those movies. Real spies are nothing like James Bond. It's pure fantasy.
Snake, I don't think the Major's going to like you saying that.
And even though it's fiction, I can't help but comparing myself to Bond.
What exactly don't you like about James Bond? I mean, is it the fantastic gadgets, the cars, the guns?
Major,
Snake, wouldn't you like to have a gun shaped like a pen?
what good is a pen gonna do me in the jungle? I'd look like a fool.
Then what about a snake-shaped gun? You could make it look like you're grappling with a giant snake and then get a shot in on the enemy while they're distracted.
Okay, now you're being ridiculous.
We'll make you a snake-shaped gun that folds up and fits into an attaché case.
Will you give it a rest?
Oh, I get it. You're worried about how to handle the ladies, aren't you?
No.
I knew it. To tell you the truth, I don't like the idea of playing hanky-panky with enemy femme fatales either. But that's part of Bond's appeal. You could learn a thing or two from him. I mean, what about this Eva? What are you planning to do with her?
I don't even trust her yet.
No, that's not what I mean. You can't let yourself get involved. This is a game of spy versus spy. She's using you just as much as you're using her.
I realize that.
You've got to grab the initiative, and to do that, you have to get the upper hand in the relationship. That's what a spy is supposed to do.
Get the upper hand. I don't think I'm cut out for that mission.
Maybe if you change your code name to 00 Snake.
Major.
007 is the biggest thing to come out of England since the Mayflower. I wouldn't be surprised if they made 20 more of those movies.
Didn't you know? The Major is a huge James Bond fan. Don't get him worked up like this.
Worked up.
Maybe you don't realize this, but now that you've got him started talking about Bond, I'm going to have to listen to him lecture for a whole hour after he gets off the radio.
You have my sympathy.
It's too bad you can't enjoy such a great movie, though.
I guess I'm just one of those people who can't enjoy spy flicks.
He's like, yo, what's up?
He is apparently like a big fan of 007, like a huge fan, and it makes sense. I mean, that's his homeland, right? He's repping, he's repping 007. The movie From Russia with Love came out in 1963, And this game, of course, we've been saying comes out in 1960, takes place in 1964. You can tell that Major Zero was like, yo, this is
it.
This is cinema, you know?
What's kind of funny is that this was the second film in the series. So Zero was in there at the ground level. He was like, I am in this for the long haul.
At this point, it was essentially just a sequel. Like, we could have looked it up more, but who's to know that they knew they were going to make it this long running series? Did they know it was going to be as intense and epic as it is now? Back then, it was just a sequel. And the first one, from what we read, wasn't really received that well.
Yeah, at the time. I mean, nowadays it's revered as a classic, but at the time, did I read it right that there was a review calling Sean Connery a big hairy marshmallow?
Yes, that's what it said. Let me go.
That's so mean.
That is so.
That's so fucked up, man.
Yeah, they said the reception. If I can look real quick. So yes, back in 1962, Dr. No was the first James Bond film. And this reviewer from Time magazine back then called James Bond not only a blithering bounder, which I could assume is a blithering idiot, but also said that Bond was a great big hairy marshmallow.
My God, that's so mean.
So you can imagine when Russia with Love came out, they weren't really. I mean, who's to know the. You have the critics, then you have the general...
Yeah, like the audience response.
So it's like Rotten Tomatoes. Those are usually never, not always in line with each other. So who's to know what people thought at the time? But they made a sequel, which was this movie. And this is a Bond movie. Like, this is literally...
It's fun. It's just fun.
Yeah. Is it a great, like, does it have a great message?
No.
Does it have great themes and imagery?
No.
Is it a great representation of like relationships between men and women?
No. Of course no.
Like there was parts when me and Tom would go, and it wasn't because something good happened. It wasn't even because an enemy did something. It's because what Bond did.
But like, I don't know. There was something we just kind of like almost embraced on how crazy he was in some situations.
It's kind of like watching The Sopranos.
Yeah, kind of.
When you're like, oh, I love The Sopranos. I love Tony. But you don't love Tony because he's a good guy.
No.
He's
like there was a moment in the movie where James was getting ready for a bath and he heard a noise outside and he puts on a towel and he takes out a gun and he's like, oh. Well, he didn't say anything, but like I had like this I had this narrative in my head of like, oh, looks like I'm not alone. I'm already nude. The job's half done.
But
like,
you weren't wrong though, because
they're like, what happened next?
What did he do in the next scene?
What happened?
Some random woman in his bed, and he's like, he shook hands with her and then got in bed with her. He's like, nice to meet you. Now we know each other.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Let me join you now. Like, what?
Yeah, he was bugging. James Bond was bugging. Like, I'm not even... But, like, kind of like that first review said, what it said, boundary, blithering, he was an idiot. Like, he was just a charming idiot. And we gotta talk about Metal Gear Solid now.
Yeah.
In that realm, I mean, kind of like Dr. Strangelove, there are so many similarities with James Bond to the series. I think it's known that I think James Bond is the biggest inspiration for the series. Is it not?
At least for 3. 3
Right?
is like a huge inspiration.
But I could have sworn like Kojima said like, or there was like an actual like, he was like, okay, James Bond is.
Yeah, I mean like James Bond, because like it has like the bombastic villains. It has
the music, like the opening theme song, which is like you always have like the James Bond has like that song.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Oh yeah, and 3 has the same thing with Cynthia Harrell.
Snake Eater. And it's just you have the femme fatale Eva.
Mm-hmm.
Like this movie is Metal Gear Solid 3 it's just on the nose. And I think at one part Zero loves this movie because it's James Bond, the sexiness in which he makes spies look like.
Yeah, I think he's just a fan of just like the theatrics of everything.
it's very very much it makes James Bond and it makes that whole organization look super smart and well versed. You never catch James slipping. Like he's just always on top of it. He's always sexy. He always has the funny little dad jokes or quips, whatever. I guess they're dad jokes now, but back then they're just quips.
Yeah.
He was always witty on it. So I can see Zero being like, how do you not? Because Snake doesn't know or he doesn't watch James Bond movies.
I love that Zero is like almost like, well, what if we made you like a gun in the shape of a snake? You know, we can make that work. But then, like, if you think about it, in From Russia with Love, in the opening scene, there was like a James Bond that got killed, but it was revealed that he was wearing a rubber mask.
Mm-hmm.
Rykov, it's the same thing. Pretty cool, right?
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, you could say that might have been an actual reference to From Russia with Love.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, they pulled the... yeah, it looks like the Rykov mask. I'll just say that. But, yeah, there's so many themes. And I think what's funny with James Bond himself, in at least From Russia with Love, Sean Connery version of James Bond, he is smooth. He loves the ladies. He is like he really I think set the tone for like all the Bond like I think when you think of James Bond you imagine a certain look and caliber of an actor, and to think of Naked Snake as that, I don't.
No, definitely not.
I think of Solid Snake as that.
Solid
like,
Snake
completely.
In
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear 2 and in Metal Gear Solid, that is how he is.
That's James Bond.
Yeah.
Because Solid Snake in Metal Gear 2 and Metal Gear Solid, the quips with the ladies, he's never really scared. He's really good at what he does. It's very much...
He doesn't believe in vampires.
He's very much James Bond. But Naked Snake, I mean, you could even think about his interactions with Eva.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. If Sean Connery's James Bond was there, he'd go up to Snake and be like, what the hell's wrong with you, boy?
But it was charming to Eva in a different way. Like, she was charmed by Snake, but he was not the spy that James Bond was. You said to me earlier that Zero's old code name is kind of similar to...
Yes. There's like a codec call that you could have with Zero where he talks about how when he worked for British intelligence, his code name was called O.
Oh.
And that in line with other people from British intelligence who the first initial of their last name be their code name.
Oh, okay.
And that is what M was in 007.
The first British intelligence outfit was established in 1909. The head of the Foreign Intelligence Division was a man named Mansfield George Smith Cumming. He was referred to simply as C after the first letter of his last name. Since then, out of respect for Cumming, the heads of the SIS have traditionally taken the name of C.
And James Bond's boss is called M.
That's right. I myself was once known as O.
You know, to drive it home, O just became Zero.
I see. That's cool.
Kind of cool, right?
I didn't know that. Okay, that's definitely, a reference to that. To kind of zoom out a little in this conversation, there's so many movies that Paramedic recommends, like in the range of 30. And I'm like, oh, talking about only 3, like it's not going to be a long episode. This episode is
over an hour.
Over an hour already. Like, and I feel like we even dive deep into these movies.
No, not really. I feel like we just kind of watch them and recommend them and just, some passing themes.
No, I know. I'm just like, even From Russia with Love, there's so much of it that is Metal Gear that I feel like we can have a whole episode on that. We're not going to do that. But I'm just saying, like, this movie itself was so on the nose.
With so many things.
Like, it felt like it was just so intertwined with the game. I mean, even thinking, like, you spoke about Zero with the code names, but, like, just Bond and how Solid Snake, or a little bit of Naked Snake is, like, so much of that character. But even, too, the name of the secret criminal underground organization in From Russia with Love.
Like a Spectre.
Like...
That's the Patriots.
Yeah, is that not Cypher? Like,
or is the Cypher, the Patriots, whatever,
Spectre was just this criminal secret organization, kind of like like a puppeteer pulling the strings and everything. And I'm like, this is Cypher.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing these movies, it really goes to show you just like how much not only does Kojima watch, but it's a reflection of like all the stuff he's watched. He just digests all of it and then it just comes out in all of his games. Like you see little specks of like this movie and that and that. I was just shocked at how much I saw Solid Snake when we were watching that movie.
I mean, this is a bit of a reach, but both Raiden and the character Kleb from Russia with Love.
Yeah.
She was the head of like that Russian spy
Yes.
agency that worked for Spectre.
Uh-huh.
She had that knife that came out of her foot and she fought with like a knife blade. Well, like a knife blade, a foot blade.
You're right.
What does Raiden do? He fights with his feet.
It's
Is that a reach? I don't know.
I mean, I think with Naked Snake, at least, he is in like these movies, and similar to the movie Doctor Strangelove, it's real life to him. It's happening right then and there. James Bond makes stuff look super sexy and simple, and even when he's in trouble, he's never too out of breath or never too concerned. It's like, okay, I gotta like pull up my sleeves a little bit for this one, but he's never nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Snake is nervous for the entirety of Metal Gear Solid 3. Like he is shook and on edge the entirety of it.
I'm just envisioning him trying to fight hornets with his knife, and he's like, "Ah, no!" and he dives off a cliff.
Yeah, and too with James Bond, you never see him resetting his shoulder or like healing himself.
No.
James Bond is never there healing his wounds, and with Snake, we see all. You know what I mean? Like he got
Snake gets messed up.
Snake is healing broken bones and deep wounds and punctures. We don't see James Bond eating critters in the caves or having to scrounge around for food.
Yeah, you'll never see James Bond eat a cricket.
You know?
Ever.
Not only that, Naked Snake is awkward as all hell. I feel like I really like that Kojima made Metal Gear Solid 3 and gave us a window into Big Boss, because I do think Solid Snake's like the perfect soldier. He's the perfect, I mean, that's what he was made to do. He was the perfect warrior, cool, calm, collected. And, you know, his predecessor, the origin of his DNA is just this, I was going to say bumbling fool. He's not.
Bumbling fool.
Bumbling, but very efficient soldier, you know?
Yeah.
So it's funny to see maybe Kojima was like, you know what, let me make something that's actually maybe a little bit more quote unquote realistic, accurate to how a soldier or a spy would be, which is why Snake is like, that's not how real spies are or how they act. Unlike Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid, where he's just going through the motions.
He's super cool, you know?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I was long rant.
No, cool.
I like this movie because it was fun, but yeah, certain things are like, ooh. But it's a fun James Bond movie. It's fun for what it is over there, you know?
Yeah. Don't go in it expecting fair treatment.
Like, you might wind up not liking James Bond.
And that's totally fair. But if I don't know.
You want to turn off your brain and watch a movie? Watch that.
If you just want to see some guy make some dumb quips and I don't know,
hairy.
Be some massive hairy marshmallow, go right ahead.
I would love someone. That's so cool. I want that nickname, giant hairy marshmallow. But I'm trying to think. I mean, were there any similarities between the three movies we watched?
Okay, if you were just telling me, is there a similarity between Doctor Strangelove and 007? Oh, the Cold War. But then you throw Dracula in the mix. I'm like, oh.
It's just it's just the game itself. But yeah, you're right. The Cold War, the same time period.
No, not even. Dracula was in the 30s.
No, sorry. Forgive me. I meant like not Dracula. Doctor Strangelove and From Russia with Love. They were both made in the same year, essentially.
Yeah.
So like that's cool. You know, like I said, both Cold War tension, both military, like espionage, highly skilled military work being done. And so like those two are definitely related. I mean, the content matter couldn't be more different because you had one really dark realistic dark comedy, but also very scary, realistic story in Doctor Strangelove. And with 007, it kind of like paints it's okay, like a nice little brush, like it's just Cold War and spy stuff, but
it's fun. Don't worry about
the spies are fine. The good guys survive, the bad guys will die. In Strangelove, it's like we are all gonna die.
We're all doomed. But hey, it's gonna be fun. Don't worry about it.
In Doctor Strangelove, there was one moment where it was like, look, if we act now, it's 20 million dead as opposed to 150 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, that's not like it's
yeah, it's like okay, but then maybe it's not so bad.
So it's funny in how like you like can look at Metal Gear Solid 3 in comparison to Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid for sure, and be like, oh, okay, like 3 is kind of a much more emotionally taxing and a much more breakdown of how one soldier or spy may feel. But yeah, Dracula just throws it for a loop. Dracula, maybe we shouldn't have picked it for to relate them, but
well, you know what? I thought it would be funny.
And it was funny. And it was funny, and it's another reason why Naked Snake is just so dumb. He's
a silly little guy.
He's maxed out in his physical characteristics, but his psyche, like, he got like a 1 or 2 out of 10. Like, it's just...
He's very gullible. He's a very gullible guy.
But I will commend Paramedic for her movie choices. I actually really enjoyed writing these on my letterbox, and I really enjoyed watching them.
Yeah, all 3 were very enjoyable.
And I think we'll do like movie club every once in a while. Like we'll throw in like maybe another couple of months we'll
throw in another movie.
Paramedic movie club part 2. I mean, if you think about it, she had like 30 or something picks, and if we do 3 each time, that's like 10 episodes. So we'll space them out,
Yeah.
But yeah, T. Any last words? Any remaining things you want to add?
If you haven't already, check these movies out.
It cost us money to do this episode.
It did.
Buy physical media, okay?
You only have to buy it once, and then you have it forever. Think about that.
We had to rent these on Amazon, and they're gone in 24 to 48 hours.
I would also say, all because a movie is older than your grandparents doesn't mean it's not a good movie.
Yeah, Doctor Strangelove could have been released now, and it's still...
I mean, aside from the plane scenes where it looks a little wonky.
Yeah, it's obviously a toy.
But like, I don't know, that movie, I feel like that has just as much to say now as it did then.
And of the 3, it's the one I think that is almost timeless in the way that it's looked and written, and it's the humor was, I think it wasn't outdated.
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been released now and people would have been like, oh, that's relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running out of words. That's why I'm not a cinephile. That's why I don't rate or review movies, because I'm like, this is cool.
Well, I'm happy that you thought these movies were cool.
Thanks, T.
You're welcome, Kay.
Shall we end?
Let's shall.
You can find us on social media sites such like Twitch or Blue Sky or Instagram at TKANDM. You can also find this podcast and any of our video essays on YouTube under TKANDM. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another wonderful episode.
Until then, we'll see you around, and thank you for being here.
Bye.
Goodbye.